Leo Ascendant, Leo Rising, your reading, your Allastrology. Walk you through your energetic frequencies. We're going to take a look at your November, December, and possibly your January. We are beginning eclipse season. Eclipse season is a time of change. It is a time when we are literally moving forward in a way where we are jumping, where we are elevating like a quantum leap, so to speak, where the universe clicks in place, where things just line up, where they had all these little nuts and bolts and things, and they would all each have to turn, and because this one turned, it would make this one turn, and when this one turned, it would make this one turn, and all these inner workings were lining up beautifully to make things happen, to make things on the exterior, in the outer world, visibly move. There's a time when we're all sitting still and we're just like, God, I'm not getting anything done. Or you feel like you're moving, but you're in quicksand. But eclipses come along and they say, okay, you've been working hard, so now the universe is going to catapult you. You sit in that slingshot, you're all the way back here, and then all of a sudden you're up front, just that fast. For some folks, that could feel and look differently depending upon your unique setup in your life, your unique individual experiences, the people that you know, the people that you meet, the places that you go. It can all change drastically depending upon your own personal birth chart. If you're interested in getting your chart can be free for you, but getting a correct birth chart can also be free. astrological.com, astrological.com, or just comment below. That's the fastest way to get in touch with me. I will make sure that you have your correct birth chart in your hands, is that you will have the correct rising sign. You do not want to have an incorrect rising sign. And depending upon the year you were born, depending upon the location where you were born, the time that you were born, all these things are vital ingredients for having accuracy, and accuracy, everything in astrology. The first thing we have to focus on for you, Leo, in November is the new moon. There's going to be a new moon, and it's like the 14th of this month. So on the 14th, new moon intention time, right? A new moon is when we're going to say our prayers. It's a time when we are speaking the language of the universe. It is a time when the universe can hear our pleas, hear our prayer more clearly. It's almost as if we all have the same song in our head, and it's a familiar song, and so you hear it and you start to sing along, and you're singing the same song, right? You hear the spheres of the universe. You hear the sounds of the spheres. This is a new moon in Scorpio. Scorpio's planet is Pluto, and so anytime you hear someone talk about Scorpio energy or Plutonian energies, we're really talking about the soul's work. We're really talking about that part of our being that is eternal, being that never dies, that part of our being that goes on and on and on, part of our being that has access to information, access to knowledge that our personalities don't quite get or don't quite understand. There is this innate thing that we carry with us, right? From the day that we're born, we have an innate knowledge about certain things. Some people say, oh, but he's been blessed, he's been gifted. Yes, that's another way of saying exactly what I'm saying. Different frequencies, different understandings, different innate capabilities that we each are inherently born with. Some of us believe this is the soul's fountain of knowledge, the soul's pot of solutions. This is the soul's sounds, the soul's stirrings, sounds of the soul. All this information and knowledge that comes through, whether we're aware of it or not, or how we get it, right? A lot of times we're like, oh, wow, I just had this great idea. You know, and it just kind of pops right in. Ready, Leo? Let's take a peek. And the new moon in Scorpio. Remember what I was saying about Pluto energy and Scorpio energy? It's all about the soul. It's all about your frequencies. Remember, Pluto, Scorpio, it's power. It's the past. It's knowing. It's understanding. Remember, Scorpio energy is this really psychic sign because it just has knowledge, right? When we talk about the soul, we don't know how to put that in my hand and look at it, right? It's this very non-tangible thing. It's hard to talk about. It's not something that I can say, hey, look, this is my soul, right? You can see it. You can look at it, right? No, it's not an easy topic. It's a bit elusive, right? It's like It's like the Piscean energy in a way, right? And again, this is a water sign, just like Piscean is water. Scorpio energy is fixed water. Water, fixed. Water is emotions. This is why we talk about Scorpio energy, fixed emotions. So when we have a new moon on the 14th, remember, November 14th, we have this new moon, and that's going to be all about emotions. Because we have the sun and the moon trucking through Scorpio energies right now, remember, that's what a new moon is. It's the sun and the moon together. And together, they're going to be at 23 degrees of Scorpio energy. That 23-degree mark in Scorpio, the reason I give out the degrees is because you got to know for sure what area of your life it's happening in. Now, for a Leo ascendant, Leo rising, typically this is going to put this in your 4th house, okay? This is deep emotional waters where there were likely wounds from the past, where there's the potential for great healing. The sign of Scorpio is the phoenix. There's this crash and burn. There's this, you go up in flames type of thing, and you end up just all these ashes, but then out of the ashes rises up the phoenix, and it flies higher than before. And all of a sudden it's back to life again. And that is the transformative power. You can transform, you transcend, and there's this transfiguration, right? It's all these TRANS words. There's change. It's a metamorphosis. This is how I describe Scorpio energy. It's like being the caterpillar and going in the cocoon. The caterpillar laying on its belly goes into this cocoon, is in a metamorphosis. And what happens? Somehow it comes out and it's got wings. It can fly. Scorpio energy, that magic. And when it's in that cocoon, when it's in there, when it's going through that change, power that has nothing to do with your physical power. It has nothing to do with your physical body. It's got nothing to do with your personality. It's got nothing to do with your willpower. Solar power. SOULULAR. Solar power. This is where we're headed. The soul of the earth, the soul of the universe. How do you connect in with that? Because your 4th house is the where in your life, right? That's why we need to know the areas of where it happens in our chart. 4th house is your home. It is not just your physical home. It is also your psychological home. When we began at a very young age, building our emotional foundation. The mom energy, this is the nurturing I received or didn't receive from mom. This is what the 4th house is. It's all about that. It goes there. Hey, there could be wounds from when I was a child. I also want to speak to those who believe that it's possible that this is not their only lifetime. It can go so deep where it's something you can't recall, where it's something that's been carried over by your soul. And if it's carried over by your soul, where did it come from? People, they believe, okay, this is something I've carried over from another lifetime. This can also be carried over from a relationship you have, because we have to understand Scorpio energy. It is energetic bonds, all right? So a lot of people feel like Scorpio energy is very karmic energy. Karmic energy meaning we have these tethers, we have these bonds to individuals. And these bonds, we created these bonds. We said, okay, we're going to live this lifetime, and, I'm going to help you do this, and of course, you're going to help me do that. And the thing is that when there are solar conversations, our personalities aren't really privy to those. We think we know what those solar conversations were, but many times we twist it and we turn it around and we paint it the way we want it to be. And that's how we get these hurts. That's how we get these energetic wounds, deep Scorpio energetic, Plutonian wounds. This is all about a healing is coming. A healing is on its way. The natives have been coming in so strongly. I mean, really strongly. Every time I do ceremony, it started a couple of weeks ago. The natives have been popping in, and it started as soon as the sun entered the sign of Scorpio. Native energy has always been a really big thing for me in my life. There's just a deep connection there for me personally. It's so hard to talk about this and not to make this about myself. I'm struggling right now with this. And I'm really trying to not make this about me. This would have to be for a whole nother time. And I know there are other people out there who've had these kinds of experiences. And I think we should be able to have a platform where we can share them, or at least talk about them. if you'd like that sort of thing. But if not, that's okay too. So we have the potential to not only heal, but to dissolve those connections, because this is about, we did what we came to do. We're done. It's not like I don't like you anymore, we're not talking. No, it's just that we completed something. We finished something. We achieved our goals, and we're releasing. And with this release, I know this is confusing because this is a new moon, but it's a release, okay? It's a healing, it's a releasing, it's a letting go, because we're opening ourselves up for something new to come in, all right? And this is what that Scorpio energy is. It has the potential to act like a full moon, in that we're completing a cycle, and then we're bringing something new in, all at the same time, simultaneously. It's very potent, it's very powerful, and that is Pluto. Very powerful. Very powerful because it's the soul's power. Not yours, not mine, not the personality, not the ego, it's the soul. And this is your home. Not just things in your home, but members of your family, mom issues, the mother wound, okay? So anytime you have any of this, your ability to be a mom or not be a mom, whatever those issues were with your own mom, this is how your home life is right now, right? There might be wounds connected to that had connected to childhood wounds. There's this whole healing and embracing and releasing, and we're severing the cords. We're not bound anymore. There's no more chains or shackles. We did what we came to do, and now we are bringing in new. And this is the potential right here. The Scorpio new moon means you become the phoenix, you rise up and you fly, and you go up and you bring all your pains and your hurts, and you bring, I'm receiving this visual again, this being who's down on one knee on the ground, who's literally brave, who's saying, okay, I had these pains, I had these hurts, and now I'm bringing them out of the dark. Because remember, the Scorpio energy is below the surface. It's stuff that's really hard to see. It's below the surface. The sunlight never goes there. But what we have to do, and what we're going to do, is bring it up into the light. We're going to literally bring it up, hold it up into the light, and we're saying, I see it. I see it now. I'm putting light on it. And it's not just me putting light on it. I'm putting light on it. But the light's being put on it, and I don't care who sees it. I don't care who sees this wound, because I'm done with it. I'm moving on and I'm healed from it. It's like, hallelujah, the light is on it, and the light dissolves it. The light comes in, and it can disintegrate all the grayness, right? It takes the darkness, and the light beams on it, and it is no longer dark. You can see the golden beams beaming through it, and there's a healing. There's a releasing, and that wound is gone, and there's a lightness of being. And with that lightness of being and those fiery rays of the solar rays coming through, we fly and we ascend. We transcend. We transform. Phoenix rising energy. Transfiguration happens. There's literally a physical transfiguration that happens. There's a transformation, but it's not just, it's the phoenix. The phoenix crumbled. It's the caterpillar. It had no wings. All of a sudden it comes out and it's flying. And it's flying free. So that's the 14th of November. Make sure you set your intentions. It's all about the home. It's all about past wounds, past lives, past connections with other people you're deeply bonded with. Definitely history, family, heritage, releasing, moving on, and healing. Forgiveness is likely going to be a part of this ingredient for you. End of November, we have an eclipse. Eclipse season begins. I'm going to break it down for you. We're going to find out, where does your eclipse happen for you, Leo? Happening in the sign of Gemini. Your Gemini energy is in your 11th house. It's my friendships. It's group energy on the internet. Keep this in mind, group energy on the internet. This can be just simply social media platforms. This can be YouTube, blogging, vlogging, wherever you are, however you gather with others digitally, because that's Gemini energy now, right? It's media, social media, but gathering with others digitally. And having an eclipse there, it's a lunar north node eclipse. So I'll break this down. It's with your friendships, but more specifically, friendships where you've gathered digitally, people who you consider your digital neighbors. It can also be people who are literally in your community that surround you, like where you live physically, like your next door neighbors. It can be that too, because that is Gemini energy. Gemini is also our talking, our thinking, our communicating, our breathing, our lungs, our siblings. There's a lot of different meanings for all these signs. This is why you have an astrologer, because they're the crazy ones that say, oh God, I want to know all that. Gemini energy is also, when we talk about our lungs and our oxygen, our ability to breathe, to talk, to communicate, to relate, it's also, it's sign language. It's that whole Helen Keller stuff, because we speak with our hands, right? We communicate with our hands, with our fingers, but we can't forget the lungs too. That's a big deal because we have the North Node squaring Neptune. And we all know if you've been listening to the videos, good for you, because then you knew this was coming. You knew that at October 26th, you were to expect hearing about the rise of the pandemic. Like this was written in the stars because you have water squaring air. Neptune, water, Neptune rules pandemics. Neptune is illusions and delusions. Neptune makes things unclear, makes things fuzzy. Squaring the North Node in Gemini, right? What did I say? Talking, thinking, speaking, your ability to relate, to talk, to communicate. It's also your ability to breathe. It is your lungs. So water squaring lungs. So respiratory issues, right? And because this is pandemic energy and this is squaring, square is a 90-degree angle. It means stress, tension, and testing. For somebody like you, it could be possible you may be hearing more and more of friends, of neighbors, of siblings who may be inflicted with the pandemic, right? Who may be individuals who are having respiratory issues, right? Because I know for my mother, there's a big concern about her getting her shot for pneumonia, because this would also be pneumonia, right? It's water and lungs. Anybody who's prone to pneumonia, who has had pneumonia in the past, this is a time for them to also be careful, okay? Because the angle up in the sky, there's a greater chance that there will be greater difficulties. Now, this difficulty thing with this angle actually is set up for all the way until March of 2021. Then it starts to loosen a little bit, okay? But we're still going to be dealing with it. It's not like it's just going to disappear. There's different other things happening also, at that time. I will, do videos as we go along, and we'll talk about that when we get closer. But just knowing, as we already do, here we are 2020, and we're still dealing with it, and it's on the rise. It's not going away anytime soon, okay? There may be talk, of course, about a vaccine. I would expect to hear some sort of good news. Actually, it's looking like in the stars, where we're going to hear something in mid-December, actually. We'll hear something that's good for the people. Does that mean it's pandemic news? Does that mean it's, hey, we found a vaccine? Does it mean, hey, here comes some stimulus money? Like, all I can tell you is it means good news. But it does look like science will be involved, because it has everything to do with Uranian energy. Everything to do with groups of people, Uranian energy. It has everything to do with your 11th house, actually, because 11th house is science. It is inventions, coming up with vaccines. That's Uranus. That is your 11th house. The eclipse energy in your 11th house with friendships, okay, with people that you consider neighbors, people that you consider siblings, like whether they really are or not blood siblings doesn't really matter. It's all about how they feel for you, how you treat them, how they treat you, how you relate. And the sibling energy, and it being a lunar north node, okay, so let's break that next part down. Because it's a lunar, it's a full moon eclipse, are all about our emotions. Again, our emotions. So the full moon means it's a completion. We're done with something. Now, this is good to know because when a full moon comes, typically there's an elevation in emotions. Something is brought to our awareness. We somehow have information that we didn't have before. So this could come through a conversation, right? This could come through a piece of mail. This could come through just your own level of awareness of realizing something. Because again, this is Gemini energy, and Gemini energy is the way you think. It's the way you talk and relate and communicate. It's literally your speaking, your speech. It's the way you speak with your neighbors, the way you speak with your siblings, the way you speak digitally is very, very important here. Can't stress this enough, because we're all moving so fast. Mercury rules the sign of Gemini, and Mercury moves really fast. It flies, it has wings. Many times when we're really quick to do something and we don't think it through, we find out later on down the line something that we probably could have figured out had we slowed down a little bit. And so many times how we find something out, what this awareness is that comes about, it can happen in different ways for folks. Now, if you want to know more details about how you can find that out yourself, like you don't have to pay me, you don't have to talk to me about it, you can comment to me down below under the video and I can help you out, and that's for free. Or if you have your own chart, all you got to do is find out where is your natal Mercury. That means where was Mercury when you were born in your chart? What sign was your Mercury in? Because where that Mercury is and the sign that it's in has everything to do with how your Gemini energy acts. And so when we see what sign your natal Mercury is in, we know the meaning of the sign that it's in. And it's those definitions, those meanings, those keywords that we then fill into your 11th house. It fills up the 11th house with keywords. And all of a sudden, we can start making sentences with those keywords. And all of a sudden, we're like, holy crap, like this is making a lot of sense. You're on point. This is creepy, freaky, because it sounds like you're in my head. Like I've been reading comments about people saying those comments under the videos, which I love. And it's not about me, because it's not. It's just simply, this is about astrology. This is what these meanings and these symbols are. It's not magic by me. No, I'm just reading. I just learned how to read it. You can do the same thing. You just learn how to read it. It's no different than saying, oh my gosh, I have to learn how to read Latin. How am I going to do this, right? But then once you learn the characters and the symbols and you know the meanings of them, all of a sudden you're reading it. But does anybody look at you and say, oh my God, that book you wrote, you did so good, but you were just reading it, right? You didn't write the book. You weren't the author of it. Who is the author of this? Who is the author of astrology? That's the question. That's the question. Source is the author of astrology. Source, Yahweh, God, Allah, the universe, whatever you want to call it, whoever you are, whatever you want to call it, the divine feminine is the source of astrology. So this eclipse in your 11th house means change. Change is a coming. And this is the eclipse where it's all about where you're headed for your future, because it's a Gemini eclipse and it's the North Node. The North Node is where you're headed. So because it's at 9 degrees and not to confuse you, but the big node up in the skies is at 19 degrees. But eventually when it gets down to 9, because it moves backwards, when it gets down to 9 degrees, this is going to be a big deal. By then you're going to have been put in place the things that needed to be for that thing to occur, whatever that thing is going to be for you. This is the kind of energy where there's a releasing and a letting go. A completion is a release, is a let go, is a, okay, I completed that, I'm done, now I can move on to this other thing. Sometimes we find that it can be difficult because we're letting go, but because it's a full moon, you're choosing to let go. You're realizing, okay, this is how I thought about that, because remember, it's Gemini, so it's how you think about something. It's how you think about someone. It's how you think about someone. It's how you think about neighbors and siblings and people in your community, people in your social digital community. How you think about yourself, how you think about the way you communicate with people in your social community. Okay, this is happening in your 11th house. You may be releasing some friends. You may be releasing some digital neighbors. You may be saying, you know what, I want to go here and do this. Therefore, these people, no hard feelings, they're just not part of that plan, right? No hard feelings, you're just not part of this. And that's okay. Like, this is called life. We're supposed to grow and change and elevate. It's just that our paths go different, right? And see, we get stuck, and this is Leo energy. Leo energy is fixed, very, very fixed, fixed fire. Now, I'm not pointing fingers at you. I'm extremely fixed. I'm one of the most fixed people I know. I've got a fixed sun sign. I've got a fixed rising sign. And I've got a buttload of planets in a fixed sign. Anyway, I'm very fixed too, so I get it. Fixed fire, and fire represents the ego. So many times when someone has fixed fire energy, first of all, it won't budge because it's fixed. It says, I'm right, I know I'm right, or I'm not going to change my mind because I already said this, and I'm not being bendable, I'm not being mutable, I'm not going to change. So here's the thing. It's fixed fire, it's fixed ego. There's something about you making a statement, something about you stating something, you being the person, was your plan, your idea, whatever it may have been. And then the ego kind of gets hurt, okay? And so the sooner you recognize that, the sooner you can step back and say, hey, maybe, whatever. Maybe I need to be a little bit more flexible, because that's the whole goal of fixed energy, is to learn to be flexible. And that's what it's all about. And again, I can talk to this point because I know I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. Trust me. When we realize that the eclipse coming and making a change, if you have something at that 9 degrees point, okay, and we're going to give it a 2-degree orb. 2-degree orb, that means we're going to go 2 degrees before the eclipse and 2 degrees after, which means we're talking about 7 degrees of Gemini to 11 degrees of Gemini. Okay, so if you have any planets or significant points from 7 to 11 degrees of Gemini energy, this would be a big deal for you. Now, when we talk about an eclipse, we also have to talk about the energy at the opposite end of the eclipse. So we've got Gemini here, and at the opposite end of Gemini, we've got Sagittarius energy. You're also going to look in your chart to see, do you have something between 7, anything between 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11 degrees of Sagittarius energies. So for you, this is your 11th house is where your Gemini energy was, and the opposite of your 11th house is your 5th house. Okay, so your 5th house energy is right where your Sagittarius energy is at. Okay, and this is children. This is romantic partners. This is fun with my body. This is sports. This is a place in my life where I like to take a risk. The 5th house is all about being very, very creative, being procreative, but it also is the little me. It's my life when I was a child. Okay, what did you used to do when you had fun? Right? What were those activities? And how are those activities now that you may be an adult and you may have your own children? Are there some of those activities that you had so much fun doing when you were a kid and you want them to do them? This is learning that there may have to be some flexibility involved here. And so again, if you have any planets or house points at those degrees, this will be much more powerful for you in your life. And this means change is coming. And this is a change you need to embrace. This is the kind of change where I'm letting go of something, letting go of the old to make room for the new. Because something new is coming. It's about your future. It's about the North Node. Your December energies, there's going to be another eclipse in December. Okay. This is why we call it eclipse season. Going to be in that 5th house of children for you. Okay. Now, if you don't have kids, remember, we have to be able to look at all the meaning of the 5th house. Children, fun, joy, creativity, romance, automobiles, having fun with my body. It's my creativity, my whatever it was I created. Whether you're a painter or whether you have children, okay? Whether you work with food, you can be a creator. There's lots of different ways we can create. And so that's what your 5th house energy is. Those keywords, but then change coming because it's an eclipse, okay? So I'm going to give you the degrees. And what I want you to do is you have a lot of time to do this. You want to see if you have a significant, if you have like a house point, like a cusp line at this degree. It's in Sagittarius energy and it's at 23 degrees, okay? So 23 degrees of Sagittarius, and it's going to be a solar south node eclipse. So it's south node, meaning there is a big release coming. It's a south node. We're letting something go for sure. And this may not be something that we want to let go, okay? But I'm going to be honest with you. It has to do with Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarian energy there's judgments. Okay, could be subconscious judgments that you have, hidden judgments, beliefs about something, opinions, truth. It's also the law. Sagittarian energy isn't law as in like law enforcement, but it's more like the court system, right? In the courtroom and lawyer energy. Sagittarius energy is ethics, it's morals, it's truth, it's justice, freedom. Freedom is a big word here with Sagittarius energy. The freedoms, beliefs, what you believe. This is philosophy. This is religion. This is my future, your beliefs about your future. Jupiter ruled. It can be very expansive. It can just blow it up and exaggerate it. Foreign languages, foreign countries, that arrow that gets shot up into the sky because it's always shooting upwards, right? It has an ambition, and once it achieves it right away needs to have another goal. Like it just wants to constantly be shooting upwards and achieving and going and climbing, but it's flying, right? It's air, it flies, right? And it's that arrow that just keeps on striving and seeking. Key word for Sagittarian energy, seekers of truth, Sagittarian energy. This in your 5th house. This is children, fun, joy, creativity, romance. So all those keywords, you put them all together and you figure out what words make sense for you in your life, because you have free will. And I'm sharing the general energies, the general reading, meaning in your personal chart, you can get a lot more information. We all are going to be feeling this, but the private part you're getting here and you're receiving now is the where. This is happening in your 5th house. So it could be your romantic partner. There could be a releasing of a belief about a romantic partner, a release of a belief about how a romantic partner should be, right? A hidden judgment with a romantic partner, or children. You can, switch the keywords out. Romantic partner out, my child goes in there, or whatever I've created can go in there. Hidden beliefs, judgments, truth, freedom, like all these things are involved in this. And so this is going to be in December, all right? This is in December. Matter of fact, this eclipse happens December 14th, but here's the heads up, because if you have something that matches that 23 degrees, you will feel the effects of this sooner. And yes, months in advance, you can start feeling it. I will share that this 23 degrees Sagittarian mark is huge, huge, huge on the chart of the United States. Okay, I'm sharing that with you here right now. This is on the United States galactic center in their birth chart. They have a planet here. They have a planet right at this mark. And so this means it'll be a big event, and it's all about the appearance because it's in the United States 1st house. It's all about how they appear, how the country appears, because I'm looking at the chart of the country. So in other words, remember, the 1st house, your ascendant, is about the cover of the book, how you appear to somebody. Like nobody read the book. It's what they're thinking about just by looking at the cover. They're like, that looks pretty cool, or, oh, that looks lame, I'm not reading it. United States appearance will be changing. And that eclipse is in December. But here's the key. Because the eclipse at 23 degrees happens right on a planet of theirs, this was a very important part in the change, how their change occurred at the November elections. Now, in your December, there's going to be a new moon. There's some other important stuff about your month of December, actually. Your month of December is going to be about, the big thing is about Saturn and Jupiter standing still. Or I should say, Saturn and Jupiter holding hands together, changing signs. That happens mid-December. You're going to want to know where that is in your life. December 13th, December 14th, and that following week, there will be changes. You'll hear about the changes. The government there will be an announcement of some sort. It'll have to do with something good, something that will benefit the people. The trick is, where does this happen in your life? Is this a straight cha-ching for you? Let's find out. How do I know? Because I just find out what house it's in, and that's how we know. So let's see. So this is interesting. This happens in your 7th house. This happens in the sign of Aquarius. We have Saturn and Jupiter entering the sign of Aquarius, and this is in your 7th house. This is your significant one-on-one relationships, okay? 7th house represents marriage. It also represents business partnerships. Because it's the Aquarian energy that you have there, it could be your significant one-on-ones business-wise, like sitting down and talking with people one-on-one, having conversations with them, counseling, life coaching, whatever it is, whatever it is your skill set is. But this could also definitely be your spouse. It's kind of fascinating. It might, having that kind of a setup there means that you may have a spouse who's very unique, or you may have a spouse who's a scientist, because we have to think about, your spouse may be an inventor. Your spouse may be, a person who has something to do with research and development and inventions, right? It's like that Tesla energy. It's Uranian energy. So it's very unique. It's highly intelligent, right? This is the energy of scientists. Uranian energy is also flight and aviation. But again, good news, likely good news. Your private chart would tell me how good, or if there's something else that angles and throws difficulty. But for the most part, we'll all be hearing some good news, and we'll be happy with this, right? Because it'll be like, oh, thank God, finally. But that's why I was mentioning that it might be, it could very easily be news about pandemic, because it's in the sign of the scientist. It's that Aquarian energy. One other thing I have to mention, though, is that Aquarian energy is also the internet. It's YouTube, it's the internet, it's social media, it's vlogging, right? So keep that in mind. And if you're someone who is doing that, if you are a vlogger, this can be good news for you. This can be a time where all your hard work, right? Like say I'll give YouTube as an example because that's where I'm at, but say you're somebody on YouTube who's been working towards getting into the partnership program. This would be a nice indicator because if you've got Uranian energy in your 7th house, this is like, okay, you've got good news coming. Someone's saying, hey, we're going to be partners. And that is news that I can think of a whole bunch of people that would be really happy to hear this. So let me know down below what it is that you've got for the good news, because I would love to share your good news. I would love to be a part of your good news. I would love to feel the joy for you. I love to see others to just keep on climbing and to be successful in their pursuits, in their endeavors. If you're trying, just keep on trying. Don't give up. Keep climbing. This is a tough time. We're all in this tough time together. And we're just going to keep persisting, right? If this platform doesn't work for you, then there might be another platform that works for you. I know I've been considering that myself. I have to figure out what platform works with who I am and what I offer and what I do. And that can look different for everybody. And that's okay. We have to be flexible. Remember, this is fixed energy in your 7th house. It's fixed energy. It's fixed air. So fixed thinking about how group energy should be. Keep that in mind. That might help when you're dealing with friends and, there might be a lot of anxiousness and stress and tension. But this December promises there will be something that comes through that works out in your favor.